Okay, takes a while for a weak computer to process 110 minutes of video, but we're back. Exactly where we left off. I didn't actually close the game. Maybe that's why it took so long to render the video, I wouldn't know. But we're back again. We seem to be recording. Audio levels and everything seem lined up. And I couldn't leave it there for tonight. We've got to actually play the game tonight, don't we? And that means so much more nice stuff to look at. And I remember this being one of the coolest things about the game. We're about to go into the first battle, and look. Ooh, the guns are in these little living racks. And this is a great opportunity for me to look at the guns rather than play the game. We can look at them both in our hands, of course, and in this brilliant rack, which I think they worked into the game largely just to show off the guns, and because it's a really cool dynamic feature which is actually not made of too much. This little prop unlocks as the Master Chief approaches, and then the guns are just spawned in the rack, sitting in place, and like in the first teaser trailer for Halo 2, the Master Chief is able to pick up guns as he walks past these racks. I don't remember what that trailer is called, but if you look up like Halo 2 trailer, well, it's the internet in 2025, so you'll probably get a bunch of like AI generated videos and a bunch of things about the Halo 2 visual remake or something, but look around, you will find it eventually. The trailer where it's like all dark and the Master Chief is walking down these hallways that are dark and there's like bright lights behind him in the doorway, and he's grabbing guns off racks as he's going past, and then he dives out of a spaceship or something, I forget. But that's really cool, and that's like what these are bringing back to mind. And yeah, these guns. Rob McLeese, the guy from the first game, is still here, and again, they're trying to sell a generation jump in one game, so they've kind of reimagined and tried to like kind of update your guns, but still having them fit with the premise of Halo. And yeah, I think they did a pretty good job. Oh, we can do it again. Yay! Anyway, a lot of people have actually really praised the guns in this game. They're pretty... McLeese is a pretty serious guy who likes his guns. He tried to do the ideas justice again, so... Last game, our main setup was a gigantic magnum pistol and an assault rifle. This time, it's a submachine gun and a battle rifle. And yeah, if you actually think about it for a moment, this is your assault rifle. Look, it even has the same reticle, my blue thing in the middle of the screen. And this is your pistol. The battle rifle, it says 36, but it fires in bursts of 3, so actually you have 12. And that means, of course, divide the ammo pool by 3. It has less ammunition than the assault rifle than the pistol did in Halo 1, as a means of kind of nerfing it, but it's still a very handy weapon. But as I thought in Halo 2, I think it is exaggerated how essential it is. It's very nice to have, but the game, if you aren't really optimizing it to shit, you haven't played this campaign for 10,000 hours, it doesn't really feel intuitive or good to do the kind of plasma weapon on shields then headshot combo. I tend to naturally play in a very dynamic way using every weapon. But yeah, what have we got? We've got a battle rifle. It's, again, in line with the aesthetic tradition of the first game. It's very serious, practical, all business. Has a scope for actually playing the game, but then if you look at it just as a thing, it gives it a nice shape. The scope on top, it looks a bit more intelligent and perhaps realistic as your main, cover of the box flagship rifle of the series. It's kind of the identifying gun. That and this. The cover of the game is actually the Chief holding not one, but 2 of these, like this, and yeah, let's look at these things. That's a new feature in this game, very on-the-box kind of thing. Not the most dynamic or interesting feature if you really think about it, like, ooh, we can hold 2 guns. That's more aesthetically than technically interesting. But as far as the game as an intelligently constructed kind of game challenge goes, it actually is pretty decently worked in that 2 guns just means more possibilities if you're trying to play halfway seriously. That, you know, it really leans into this idea aesthetically as well, beyond like the cover image of like, oh, 2 guns at once, that's awesome. Almost as cool as Jak 2. Remember, this game is targeted at like the normal fag audience of 2004. But, you know, the cooler aesthetic image to me is that the Master Chief is just so like dynamic and fast a fighter that he'll just like tear through a battlefield and just like drop and pick up guns as he's going constantly, like grab a submachine gun off the wall, start firing it, grab a second gun off the ground, just palm grip them, fire both. That's a very cool idea. And it is cool and just very different after the first game that we can have 2 guns on screen. Since this is a game about looking over the barrel of guns, that is a rather striking innovation. And yeah, I do like these guns. There's a rather famous Twitter thread talking about how intelligent the design of the submachine gun is and how practical it is. And if we look here, yeah, it's just got its caliber written on the front. It's got a foregrip. It's got, if you look at the back there, that's a collapsed stock. That thing, you know, telescopes out and you can brace it if you're a regular flimsy non-Master Chief who needs help holding his gun. Like maybe Captain Key's girl daughter needs the stock, we don't, we're a man. And if you look on the side at that big rectangle, yes, that's the magazine. It's a side loader, which means that, yeah, you know, it's a video game. This thing can't actually be bulky. We don't have to worry about physically carrying it. But Rob McLeese thought, like, okay, how do you build a submachine gun in the future? Like, we aren't doing any space magic. It's just going to be like a really efficient and optimized submachine gun from a government that presumably doesn't have like a budget problem or anything. The human race is all in. And they just make the ultimate practical SMG, and they make this thing, and yeah, it just looks really handy. It's just very short. Everything is just very practical. All the features smashed in as small as they can go. This thing is tiny. And if you look at that little icon in the top left where it's asking me to dual wield, you can see that I think just to make sure the design wasn't lost on anybody, they telescoped the stock on that thing. But if you look here as well, I think it actually is telescoped onto the Chief. I was just saying that feature is for girls, but oh, look at that. It's telescoped when he's holding it to his shoulder, and then whoop, he folds it in super quickly when he wants to double hold them. That does make sense. Of course, he won't have the stocks out when he's doing that. That's just nice and thoughtful. And let's do lame vision. Oof. Man, that light is weird in this game. It's just very, like... It's like we're in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre all of a sudden. We're in, like, a dusty room where, like, the heat feels all hazy. Everything the light hits looks like it's covered in dust. But, yeah, in general, you see... Why did they greeble the magazine so heavily? Like, I mean, the details, it's still what was there originally, like a bit of texture for grip, and I guess that bit on the end there, you put your thumb on it to eject it. We've got a more detailed end device there. That's still recognizably a grip. In general, no part of this immediately strikes me as stupid, but I think that it's more visually coherent and striking when it's just this, like, little black, like, angry beehive of bullets. This thing is all business, whereas, yeah, our guns just become a bit busier if we do this, and I really don't like what they did to our poor battle rifle. God, I can't even see it in the weird lighting. But yeah, it's gray rather than black now, has more color, more different textures on it. It's still fundamentally the same thing, but they just can't help but go, you know, like, no, it needs to be a bit more everything. And it's like, no, I think I liked it when it was simple. Like, the shape just feels bulkier. It doesn't have that, like, ultra lean, refined appearance, and I've heard from gun nerds that they're less happy with it as well as a future SMG. And, you know, I can only speak as someone who appreciates this stuff on the level of shapes and the impact I get from it. I just don't like it. The graphic design on the wall as well. We just get more generic. I don't like that. This becomes red for some reason. I mean, we are still in a broadly red room, but the overall impression is still grey. This somehow looks more colourful and also less dynamic. Like, again, it's that, like, weird, dull, matte plastic finish and this weird, dusty lighting, which I don't approve of. It just feels all wrong for where we're meant to be. Like, again, more colour, but drab at the same time. Oh god, they even did that to Earth as well. Look, it's like... Okay, the satellites have little winking lights so we don't miss them. The ships are faster, but... yeah, in general, I just prefer the impression of that one. Oh man, those trees are really treed out. Again, they're still basically the same thing in each edition, just... it's not totally fern-maxed insanity, but everything is more what it is. Like, do these shadows make sense? Yes, and maybe that's even an intelligent and striking visual to make here that, like, yeah, we're in space, the sun hits right onto us, you're gonna get, like, maybe some really stark shadows in a space station, but I don't really care. I consider it kind of the defining look of this game, that we have these kind of overcast day grays and kind of a, like, no really popping colors. It's all very, like, again, it's like kind of overcast drab, but I think it's very pretty. It's like how a Japanese movie about a rainy day looks. Ooh, more of these little gun dispensers, they're awesome. There's a pistol around here somewhere as well, but we won't take that.
How's it going, Malta?
There it is.
Stand by. They're latched. Check your targets, watch the crossfire.
Here we go. I'm going to actually fire a gun, if you can believe that.
Up front, big ones in back. Good luck, Cairo.
And yeah, this game's levels actually have a lot of intricacy in their how they're constructed. Like, you might instinctively go up there with Johnson, but there is like this whole side bit and that bit up there. Lots of stuff. Home field advantage, it's kind of the recurring premise of Halo, kind of echoing Marathon, that we start under attack in our own environment. And yeah, here's what firing two guns is like. But as I was saying, I think the really interesting part of firing two guns is the fact that, again, what's interesting about guns in Halo is that they drop on the ground and you still have to consider them as real objects with presence, even when they aren't being fired. You know, guns in most first-person shooters, they're basically an extension of the person holding them, and they become an ammo pickup once they're on the ground, whereas, like, no, in this game, like, guns are very much things flying around that people hold in their hands. And the Covenant look a bit different, but not hugely so. They look less alien, in my opinion. Their shapes are more defined, and in general, the visuals of this game are a lot clearer. And then if we do this, they didn't just use Reach models, thankfully. They kind of just gave us a sort of clean, canonized interpretation of the classic designs. But, like, look at the material of this armor and compare it to the first game, how, like, this is just like a hard plastic shell, whereas in the first game they're, like, weird, ultra shiny metals. Here it's still kind of intriguing, like, I can't quite tell what I'm looking at, like, this still kind of, like, weird, oily, naturalistic metal, and his suit isn't just, like, the texture of basketball. Like, yes, that... you could call that a kind of rationalization of their design, but I consider it boring. But yeah, here's what the Master Chief does now. He picks up two guns at once and goes nuts with them. And yeah, I hate the plasma pistols, what they did to them, how they just look... yeah, very, like, refined and more coherent as guns. Like, no, they look weird in the first game, and I like that. And note that the reticles combine, you get each gun. I think that's a great detail. That I have a plasma pistols reticle and the submachine guns one. Borders and Habitat Alpha, let's get them. And yeah, the Master Chief, he's an animal. He just picks up whatever's on the ground and keeps using it. Oop! Plasma rifle and an SMG. Oh yeah, and there are lady soldiers now. That doesn't really bother me. We're like the army rather than the Marines. It's total war. I can accept this without feeling like the woke have gone bananas. Also, I think basically all of them are Michelle Rodriguez, so get used to that. And as with everyone else, she looks really weird in the remake. Like, I don't mind how the faces look in this. They have like a kind of low-res finish, but they look very good considering that. Like, this is a very good attempt at rendering a human face, I think, at like a very limited level of detail. Like, I can just accept this. This is how faces look in Halo 2, and I'm not bothered. I have a harder time accepting whatever the hell this is meant to be. Yeah, that's not...
Chief, please, don't stop firing.
Proportionally, they look wrong in this game. Like, I think it's largely, like, taking the rim off the helmet, which makes their heads look babyish. I don't know, like, the big shoulders and the lack of a helmet rim. This guy looks like a baby, doesn't he? Do you see what I mean? In a way, this guy doesn't. And also they have, like, weird soft faces, maybe. Like, that was an attempt at exaggerating detail for us. Also, I think you can do this in this game. Yeah, you can knock helmets off.
I'm gonna take that as a threat.
And, yeah, we can keep looking at them. All the guys have this weird, like,
It's never us, Chief.
buzzed cut, which really brings out the babyishness further. But I get that rendering hair is hard. That's why in the first game everyone has a hat. But, yeah.
With you, Chief.
Honestly, I think he looks better like this with his, you know, lower res hair. Like, this looks less like a failure at rendering a head than this does. Do you see what I mean? Oof. And yeah, I'm almost certain this is what the Halo CE remake is gonna look like. This is like standard video game graphics, especially like Joe Biden onwards. This like weird, like clay and matte plastic everything. And how does she look? Also kinda...
Let's make him bleed, Chief.
Yeah, she doesn't look like she should be talking like Michelle Rodriguez, whereas this woman does. That's very much another point for the old graphics. And her hair is this like bun thing, whereas this is like,
Now move out.
I don't know, like short lady politician hair. This woman's haircut says like, I work for the German government, whereas this one is more like, yeah, I'm like a tough Mexican lady who can handle a gun. Like, alright, we're kind of pushing it, but, you know, I'm willing to not be a dick about this. Sure, there are women fighting in Halo, why not? If there are going to be, they should probably look like this, not this.
Chief, work the flanks.
Also, am I insane, or does the ambient sound turn off when I update the graphics? Yeah, it does. That's really weird. If you can't hear it in the video because of how I tune this later, just take my word for it. Play the damn game yourself. And yeah, definitely a different visual character to the whole setup of this scene here. Like, this is very kind of like minimal, but in a way I like. Again, to me, the tone of this game has always been kind of like overcast, soft rains, soft grays, kind of muting out the colors. Maybe that's largely a product of and, you know, defined by the limitations of the Xbox, but, you know, I never saw that as a problem. That's always just been how Halo 2 looks. I never thought like, oh yeah, this needs to be like 2,000 times more blue. I gave them credit for some restraint earlier with the depiction of space, but this is really just too much now. Like, ooh, what is that? That kind of hurts. Ooh. This is more like how I like it. This might be more accurate to how space looks. I don't know. I really don't care. I just think that, yes, this is a look with a lot more character, and this is just kind of, yeah, like you order a video game to be made after the year 2016 or 17. It's gonna look like this. Whatever. Nice and clean. It just feels better this way. Oh yeah, and there are fixed turrets in this game now. Go get him, Johnson. He'll stay there with his blue pants. Wait, there was another officer in this scene. I should check his pants out. Did he despawn or leave? Did he die? I don't know. This guy didn't make it. Just looking at the faces closely. I haven't done that in a while. They're pretty good, I still think, on the whole, just looking at all of them.
There are more boarding craft in your area, Chief.
Yeah, it's alright, Lord Hood. By the way, I think that character's Ron Perlman. We can make all kinds of jokes about that if we want. Yo, Lil Donnie. They put me in charge of the Earth Defense Grid. How about that? She looks a bit funny, but I guess that's a real kind of human face, so I can't be too mean. And this guy just... yeah, he's like ultra low res, like simple haircut a video game can render haircut. It just works. This doesn't. He looks like a weird child. Like, why is his head shaped like a 10-year-old kid's head? Like, yeah, this guy has, like, lines to his face. This guy has a weird, like, super weak jaw and chin. The more I look at this, the more wrong it feels. We've got the German politician and, like, the baby.
Can I help you, Chief?
Yeah, you can help me by reverting to old graphics so I don't feel uncomfortable looking at you. Oh, no, what you can help me with, you can demo a game feature I like. Wait, I can't do that yet? Oh, you can't have that one?
Excited to be here.
You can swap weapons with Marines in this game. I just need to set up an opportunity where I can do that.
Fair enough.
Yes, it is, because I'm the player. I decide what happens. But yeah, you want like a team of Marines helping you and they all have bloody plasma pistols or whatever? Go nuts.
Can I help you, sir?
And, you know, all of these games are fairly easy, but that does actually create some interesting strategic possibilities later in the game. And in Halo 3, it's something they use well as far as you have Marines in that game and they matter. Which isn't too much, unfortunately, but I can maybe try and show that off later. There is some interesting stuff going on with Marines at times in this game. On the whole, I think it's a step away from myth and the just like extreme emphasis on dynamism in all things. But, you know, it's still pretty solid. It's still the same engine, just I think that for the sake of the detail, they introduced like more detailed environments. They do try to have less going on. Like the default loadout of Marines in the first game is 5 at once, whereas in this one you're more likely to, like, if you're in a section where like the idea is you're fighting with Marines, they'll give you 3 instead, which is just, you know, a bit less interesting. It's just less going on. But you can mess with their guns, so you can give them like alien guns and make a slightly more interesting scenario. But you know, we power spike again for real with the Xbox 360, which just makes me think like, damn, we should have like 20 Marines and I should be able to do like even more stuff with them to, you know, experiment with and control the scene and just make stuff happen and be able to make more potential things happen. But, you know, we do get some kind of NPC-loaded scenes in Halo 3, but generally they're big and chaotic and trying to be a bunch at once, so you kind of lose the Marines as a serious consideration in the middle of all the chaos, which is, you know, it's its own kind of experience. There's something to be said for it, but I do think it's a bit of a missed opportunity and step down. But back to what I was saying before, how Joe Staten is a great constructor of basically virtual movies after being given the premise of Halo. We also have to say this is more like a greater Bungie team effort especially. I don't know if any one person can really be credited for this. I think it's more of an all-around team thing. That, like, yeah, again, just, it's a great art which is hard to quantify. No one teaches it to you and they really nail it. Just constructing what we could call the levels of this game, the world as something that has to be played through. I really like this level. I like Cairo Station as a series of encounters, a way to basically tell the story of this whole section of Halo 2, you know, as an unfolding story, as a game to play through, as just a series of mechanical piles of game stuff to mess with. It has to be all of that at once, and it's it has to do a lot at once, and like the opening cutscene, which gives us all the exposition, sets up the characters, can't dawdle, just every part of this game really has to do a lot, and a lot of it we don't even have words for, and they really do just nail it all over. Bungie was such a team at this point. Like, this is just a great set of scenarios to play through, we could say. Again, I like that Japanese term, scenario. And here's a bloody Marine. Easy detail to miss. And he looks weird with his baby face and plastic clay features, so let's turn him back. Again, look at the skull, it's shaped wrong. There we go. The helmet's shaped funny. Oh yeah, and there's our friend, fellow satellite defense station. They're retreating, we won, ack! Yeah guys, something went wrong there, huh? And now we're being attacked while we were out looking out the window. See, again, that's just something they thought out when they were building this level, and yeah, it's just something you take for granted when everything is working. Like, I was probably maybe paying more attention to scenario construction in Halo 4 just because, yeah, like, that game just managed to find some way to shit me at basically every moment. You know, there's an art to doing that as well, apparently, but yeah, I'm just, like, thinking of how, like, thoughtless and unfun. Well, it's not thoughtless, it's more that, like, Halo 4 pissed me off because I could see they were thinking some things, like, they're saying, like, oh, we want the Master Chief to go along this high bit and, like, shoot down at the enemies. Or he can fight them from below, and he can take cover behind this succession of crates as he powers his way forward, and it's like, no, that's, like, shitty, that's bad. Basically, writing the scene. Like, I'm really loath to say the term storytelling, but, you know, that's kind of a better way to put it is to again borrow from Howard Blast, I suppose, and say everything is writing, and the problem of Halo 4 scenario construction is really just like, okay, what the fuck are you writing? Like, why do you feel entitled to think like, okay, what's the sandbox of this encounter? It's like, no, you should be asking like, what the fuck is the point of anything that's happening? Like, I care more about any given like room or stack of enemies in a Halo game as a question of like, okay, where like am I in the development of this story? What is going on? What am I trying to do? Like, what are the stakes and circumstances? What is basically going on if I appreciate this whole thing as like a big elaborate multimedia scenario artwork thing? Like, why should I basically give a shit? Halo 4 is just kind of a succession of rooms full of bullshit framing the like worst, most poorly thought out science fiction I've ever seen in a video game. Like, it really is just that goddamn bad. Like, so much like random Kusoge shit I play is like genuinely better written than like something like Halo 4. There's actually a surprising amount of games with shit reputations that really did try hard. If I had all the drive in the world, I'd do videos on some of my favorite Kusoge. You know, I don't have the drive to do various, like, Mexilor videos giving you a whole elaborate movie recap rundown on my favorite games, but I could play through them, I don't know. We'll see, we'll see. Writing is my favorite way to share smaller games that interest me. Priority shift. Okay, we got 4 Marines here. That's a decent pile-up of stuff. Also, I just want to, again, reiterate that this game has a lot of, like, thoughtfully kind of over-designed rooms full of stuff you can find if you either, like, take your time to pore through them or really, just kind of go out of your way. Like, we're meant to go down next, but if you go right here, this door was blown open. You know, there's a dead body and grenades there. Not that you really need pickups. This isn't like Myth, where that would be super valuable if it's a pickup item, but, you know, it's something. And then, like, we go up here and we can actually get these plasma cannons. Probably not something you'll ever practically need, but it's just a bit more internal reason for the scene and a bit more dynamism. It's just more than they had to do. And it doesn't shit me because, yeah, like this whole scene is also aesthetically justified, so I don't feel like they're just like trying to game design over their kind of artistic ineptitude, lack of coherent writing or justification for the game to even fucking exist in the first place, which is Halo's ultimate problem. Halo 4's ultimate problem, that is, that basically it's a game that shouldn't exist, so basically everything it does pisses me off. But this game, it's a very thoughtful extension of Halo. It's very much like every room, they had a lot they wanted to do, so I like it. And as for the grunts, like, yeah, their texture, the outside looks a bit different to how it did in the first game. In general, every texture has a bit of like a screaming at its limits finish to it, which, again, I just think of it as the look of this game rather than shortcoming, and they feel more sharply realized and detailed in this game, despite being made on the same tech. Like, the designs are kind of refined and made less alien, like the glowing bits on their pack make them look more recognizably as technology, whereas in the first game, in addition to the like lack of lights, you have like weird naturalistic curves, which, you know, like the silhouette of a grunt is fucking weird, and like in the first game you could almost think like they have a natural hump or something, but here he looks more like each grunt is like a little guy in a spacesuit. You can see like, okay, he's harnessed in, mask is on, tank on his back. He looks more like an intelligent life form dressed up for space fighting, which is kind of what this game is about, kind of, dare I say, humanizing the Covenant as people you can actually, like, you no longer think of them as aliens, you think of them as, like, English-speaking people with interests opposed to your own who are kind of weird. And so, like, yeah, now all of a sudden the grunts are just in general less alien looking. The design is cleaner, the finish is more, just less off-putting. And the elites as well, like, their shape is less, like, confusing, I want to say. Like, genuinely, like, the way the elites pose and walk and fall in the first game, it's kind of hard to, like, get a fix on what you're looking at, which I think is kind of deliberate. Like, what exactly is an elite? He's like this weird, slinky, slithery lizard thing whose proportions are all funny. He's really tall and he's like waving and diving around, and he's got this odd leaning forward posture, which makes it kind of hard to get a read on his physique properly. Oh no, they killed our, like, Ali Ermi tutorial guy. That's okay. We avenged him, and look what he dropped for us, the first shotgun. We don't have to wait through half the game to get this thing. Also, I don't remember him showing up. I remembered him being down there, but I guess I just walked past him. And here's the shotgun. It's just a bit more blunt and mean looking compared to the first game, maybe. And here's the pistol. It's no longer a psychotically large magnum, it's just kind of big. It's basically become the, like, German USP. Like, we're not firing those cannon shells from the first game, now it's just like 45s or something. Still does a grunt in if we hit him in the head, on normal difficulty at least, if you didn't see me pick that, but yeah, in general it feels less like an insane cannon, more like a more like something reasonably scaled to the rest of the game. Which button do I push to change my grenade type? I genuinely don't remember. Oh, the D-pad. But yeah, let's see what one of them does. Still funny. And yes, he still responds like George Costanza after someone takes all of his Twix. Here is my little pistol. Oh yeah, here's what you can do with the pistol now to justify the nerf. Look at me go, I just pick up whatever's on hand. I'm a master of the battlefield. I don't need a plan ahead, I just drop what I'm holding, grab whatever's on hand. Plasma and a gun. How cool. Alright, that might be enough of this pistol. I'll use it till it's out. Yes, also you might have noticed there are green grunts now who handle this. It's just a detail that I like, that the green grunts have their own specialty. They're like, I don't know, combat engineers or weapons specialists, whatever. If they show up, they're carrying them. Oop. Where'd he get shot from? Oh, there. Almost out of pistol rounds. And what have you got? Replacement gunner for that. Did you see that guy do a flip? That was sick. And... okay, now this is sad. They lose most of their identifying green when I do this. Also, God, again, what is with the, like, way they decided to do sunlight? The way it hits this odd kind of matte plastic finish on everything. Again, it's like the way sunlight looks in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is just like dusty, oppressive sunlight, which maybe they thought would be aesthetically striking, but to me it feels sort of ill-considered. Like, again, I really love the consistent gray overcast finish of everything in base Halo 2. And I think these guys have a really great color going for them, where they're blue, gray body, and this like light green all around. All of their armor is that, so they're basically like, the grunts are two-tone with gray. And like, what color is this? It's like, it's not even color, it's just like flesh, mud, gugh. Like, yes, Halo is very color-coded, very deliberate. Maybe it's not great for as you scale detail and become more realistic. Maybe the grunt designs were always doomed as they started adding detail. But I really adore, like, yes, how they still, in trying to update the designs, kept the, like, big, immediately striking primary colors that define each enemy. And yeah, the elites also get hit with this and become kind of predominantly their gray basketball texture there. Yeah, it's like, if we look at this guy's ass, like, what is he wearing? Like a... this is how they make, like, the costumes in cape shit movies after a certain point. Like, maybe Zack Snyder's Man of Steel started this, I don't know, but, like, every superhero's, like, outer suit is this, like, basketball wetsuit thing after a certain point. Also, the blood sucks. It doesn't have that, like, crazy aftermath impression. It looks more liquid, which frankly makes me uncomfortable, whereas, like, in the original Halo Combat Evolved and this, it's basically the same effect they use in Myth, which is like the funniest gore effects in the history of video games. Like, really, play Myth if you haven't. That is like one of the funniest games ever made, just for how, like, guys explode and leave these, like, insane, unmistakable streaks everywhere. Yeah, this game has weird ragdolls where, like, they don't properly ragdoll like they do in 3 onwards. They have, like, a dynamic animation applied to them, which has, like, a bit of physics-based give in it, I think, and then they, like, lock in place so as to free up the processing power. Hey, look who it is. Johnson somehow circled around and got ahead. And it's Captain Keyes' daughter. We could give her a shotgun. See, isn't that fun? That's a feature I enjoy. Alright, if you're not going up, I'm gonna take that and give it to the other guy. Come on. No, she doesn't want to give me the shotgun. See, she likes it. Where's that guy who really was going at him? He can have it. Johnson's stuck. Come on, man, we got him. Go, Johnson! Show the people the power of being able to fuck with NPCs and give them guns. Okay, is the shotgun making them more careful? I don't know. I'll show them what the shotgun can do. Oh wait, no, we can check now. Yes, pants. As far as I can see, Johnson is the only guy in dress uniform who has blue pants. I don't know what that's meant to mean. Maybe that's like marine dress as opposed to navy dress. I'll keep my eyes out. If I missed any guys wearing blue pants, let me know in the comments. I am genuinely wondering who's wearing what. Oh yes, and we do have to check out the, yeah, get him.
Is what I'm doing right
Cortana is still written and performed great by that random actress who someone at Bungie knew. Very good stuff. Bungie games all had great voice acting. Like the other one around this era, like the last non-Halo game that still felt like Bungie Oni, that game also has great voice acting. I don't know who the main woman is, but she is like fantastic at being an anime woman. That whole game's thing is that it's kind of anime. And the other like main lead in that is Captain Keyes from Halo 1. He's in it and he just great job again. Now before I forget, let's look at the other version of this shotgun. Man, what did they do to your heads, bro? This guy has like bug eyes maybe. Like his eyes line up straight there. Johnson's skull, like everyone else's, just becomes less defined. Oh yeah, and they turn Captain Keyes' daughter into Frances McDormand because every video game was doing that at the time. Like she actually looks like a American woman who's like 21 or something, whereas like, okay, now they're like, okay, it's gotta be serious, we need the Navy woman to be like 40. But like, no, I thought it was kind of an interesting, if slightly odd detail that the captain's daughter, who is like 20, they just give her lots of responsibility because Captain Keyes was that good, and she just kind of shows up in the right place to be at all these decisive events. But anyway, yeah, I swear to God, like, genuinely it's the motivation that around this time, like, when that movie 3 Billboards came out...
I am never talking to you again.
That's great, that's very funny. That's like X-Files humor. Like, good nerd humor. But yes, I swear for a while when she, like, won the Best Actress Oscar, at least I think she did, like, yes, I think people making video games, American culture in general, was obsessed with this idea that, like, Frances McDormand was the most, like, authoritative, most respectable, mind-blowingly compelling woman alive, and, like, her presence was just, like, something that rocks your shit and owns you like a cocky teenage Latina duck. She's just built to dismantle white fragility. So every video game just started shoving in women who look like Frances McDormand. And the weirdest case of this, go and look it up. The Last of Us, when they remade that, like, that was already a game that was basically at the, like, finished graphical standards, late PS3, like, nothing really changed, so any change isn't justified by tech when they remastered it. It was just them, like, basically aesthetically revising their own vision and deciding it would be better if it's this way. And it was the original creators doing it as well, which is, like, doubly weird. And what they did was they took the, like, main woman from the first act of the game, Tess, or whatever her name is, and yeah, they took her from, like, a woman who's, like, the protagonist's age, like, her hair is still, like, dark brown or whatever, and they, like, completely redesigned her face and gave her gray hair, and, you know, in general, her, like, demeanor is more, like, you know, cunty and, like, self-righteous. And I am, like, 100% certain they saw, like, 3 billboards and thought, like, okay, my, like, game, my baby needs to, like, keep up with the most bleeding edge, like, vulgar fashion ideas of what is profound and artsy, so I need to work Frances McDormand into my video game. And that's what The Last of Us did when they remastered it. And yeah, now we're outside. The Master Chief, of course, wears an enclosed suit, so it doesn't matter. The elites need to slightly change their gear to keep up with us, so yeah, no exposed skin at the neck, and a completely enclosed helmet. Very goddamn cool. And again, here we just get the, like, really weird stark sunshine if we look out. Just thought I'd make sure I'm recording real quick there, sorry. Good thing I was. But yeah, again, like, the original Halo 2 look, it's overcast even in space, and I love that. Here, it's perhaps more like a scientific, realist view of space. We get these, like, this harsh sunlight and darks and naturalistic contrast and a moon that looks like a big rock, but no, I don't really like that. I like a moon that looks like a photo of the moon. I like space that's just black. I like not being able to see as much stuff in motion, actually. even if this is meant to be the busy defense grid around Earth swarming to life. Like, no, I prefer it more serene. And yeah, again, you can tell here that the soundscape changes as well when you change the visual option, which is a very interesting
Orders
detail.
have breached the fire control center. They have a bomb.
And yeah, if I...
Yes, but I'll need the chief's help to make contact with the
The
detonator.
soundscape is more ambient here when I'm like this, and I get some music when I do this. In general, again, I just prefer the tone, the visual or aesthetic character of the base Halo 2 a lot more. These are really like radically different ideas on how to portray space, and I can't call either wrong ultimately, like end of the day, but I do think this one is more generic and yeah, just less pleasing to me. Like this just feels like something that was thought out more thoroughly to be nice looking. And before I forget, I should ask someone who knows guns, if any of you are watching, does a top-loading shotgun make sense? Like, isn't the idea that the shells go into storage rather than straight into the chamber? And so, like, if I'm loading top-down, aren't they going straight into the barrel of the gun? Or is the barrel the lower one and the top is the tube? Is that how they designed this? I'm not sure. Also, here is an ODST who is not in the first game, and he is kind of this game's depiction of a space-ready trooper as opposed to the ground army troopers. They did want to have both, and yeah, these guys look fucking awesome. Conceptually, they were kind of worked out in the first game. Eric Nyland wanted them in his novel to be these special forces, and yeah, they work alright as an idea, but let's be real, the only reason anyone actually lastingly remembers is the ODSTs is not the concept, but because this suit of armor is just fucking awesome. Sorry, I was just drinking some tea there that I'd let get cold. But yeah, this guy who's wearing like black and grey camo, black boots, black armor piece with a weird parachute thing and a big knife at his back, and this like, again, kind of like the Chief, like a light version of his all-around helmet with a reflective mirrored visor. That's great. And then look at this, and he's blue and purple, which could work, but in general, just every part of him seems less cool. Like, they wanted to make it their own and still, like, have it be reasonable and thought out, but, like, purple and blue, really? And, like, a split-up visor, a little torch on his helmet. This would not have become iconic, and it did not in people's minds replace this. Like, people still love the ODSTs, and when they say they love the ODSTs, they mean we love the guys in, like, black with the solid piece visors. Not this guy. It's still better than nothing. It's better than the Halo 4 troopers, and it's probably about the best we can hope for with, like, anything Halo this far divorced from the originating ideas, but, you know, we had something that was really inspired, I think. But what do you think of the ODSTs? You know, let me know if I'm being an idiot, if you think they're tasteless and retarded looking. I'd be interested in hearing that, because, like, as far as I know, everyone loves these guys. Okay, more space combat. Oh yeah, I forgot this part.
Where are you? The bomb is right here.
As the game is telling me that I'm dawdling, but not being a total dick about that, I appreciate that. A detail that really defines this game that might be lost in my playthrough is that, like, more than Half-Life 2, I think this was kind of a defining linear movie game shooter where it was really made to be faster. Like, there's always something right ahead of you, like, driving you forward. You have voices telling you to hurry up and move quicker. A lot of the time, your objectives are very urgent. The plot is always, like, more than Halo 1, the plot is, like, you know, scene to scene, like, minutes are passing. Like, it's very much a frantic story in which stuff is constantly happening. There's a greater sense of urgency to all of it. Like, this game does not take place over a greatly drawn-out period of time. It's very much like a frantic rush of stuff happening, very cinematic in that way. And it's all about set pieces as well. It's less like a series of kind of, like, set up the scenario, let it play out, which is more like the Halo 1 construction, which I think owes a lot to Myth and, to a lesser extent, Marathon, the idea of like the game is being built out of fixed scenarios, but this one is very much like a movie-like sequence of events which are just meant to go, and to its credit, like, I think it actually does a really good job of that. The last time I played Halo 2, it was very, like, I wasn't pissing around, like, playing levels over and over. I played it all in one big sequence, and I think it actually worked really well, and it was also the most I'd enjoyed Halo 3 to play that in one go after Halo 2. I think that it just works best treated as a kind of final act to this game. But yes, this game, if you feel annoyed by, like, hearing NPCs in the background, like, constantly yelling stuff and acting like it's an emergency and we need to be moving fast, kinda, you know, I'll go to bat for the game and say, like, no, it actually works really well, I think, when you play it in one whole piece as the game was designed, that, like, it's different to Halo 1 in that, like, it's a very much like a constantly move forward, urgent story, kind of like the progenitor of stuff like Call of Duty Modern Warfare, where this really came together, but I do think this is, like, kind of the best movie game. Like, I tried playing Half-Life 2 again when they, like, remastered or updated that, whatever it was, on their, like, anniversary, and yeah, like, I watched the documentary they made for it, and I was, like, kind of hyped to check out Half-Life 2 again. It had been a while, and frankly, it just, like, didn't grab me. I just didn't care much for Half-Life 2. But this game has me grabbed. It had me grabbed the last time I played it. It has me grabbed again. I forget what those are. That's something that the Master Chief Collection guys put in to feel like they're a part of the Halo experience. I won't totally begrudge them that. Like, they did a very good job with a few things here. Like, once they really got mod support off the ground, some interesting stuff was done with that, so, you know, credit to them.
Just so you know, there are quite a few elites guarding the bomb. You may need to get creative.
May need to get creative, she says, but I have 17 shotgun shells to spare. I think we'll be fine. And also, we're playing on normal. Could play this blindfolded. I say that. This game is easy on normal, but it's also the hardest Halo game on Legendary. It's just kind of bizarrely tuned and will kick your ass. Oh yeah, and by the way, elites can dual wield, which is fun. Something I'll say now, like, I've been mostly just, like, praising this game, but a point that does feel like a step down. Grenades? In Halo Combat Evolved, like, the effects of grenades landing, they're very exaggerated and extreme, like they are in Myth. Again, I'm talking about Myth because I was playing that earlier, it's on my mind. Halo Combat Evolved has incredible explosions with a lot of character, and we don't really have that in this game. They still serve their roles intelligently. It's not like Halo 4 where they, like, fuck it up, make their gay OC grenade that doesn't do anything.
You don't want to know.
Cairo, this is
Yes, there's a
Amber
lot
Black.
more, like, dialogue-driven scenes in this, and it's very snappy, but it's still done tastefully in this game. That is not going to hold by Halo 3, which gets back into the story of Halo's production and Bungie. Basically, for this game, where less of a technical experiment and weird kind of, like, ambient just showcase of Jones' ideas in the world is this kind of, like, largely just kind of, it's sitting in place, laid out scenarios that are very reactive, and each one is kind of a implicit elaboration upon the themes and ideas of the game. This one, it's much more like, every part of it is very, again, we've gone from an old school PC game running on a console to a linear movie game, but it's a good linear movie game with a lot going for it that I like, and, you know, as far as those go, it's just about one of the best of them.
What if you miss?
But still, like, the philosophy of an old PC game is kind of a complex thing to elaborate on. I can do that in future levels as we go forward, but basically, like, an old PC game, it's very much like, it's about the parts, it's about the text, it's about the tech, it's about things being able to kind of sit there and be appreciated as you fuck with them. Whereas like a linear movie game, it's very much about, you know, the specific thing they're portraying, which is very much like they want to define. I say they want to, it's more like they need to define the experience of the thing because it's more specific. It's less like, hey, look at this like world we built and ways you can fuck with the world. Go figure it out. It's more like, okay, we thought of this like very specific scene of like the Chief is going to crash a bomb into a Covenant reactor and you just kind of watch that and let it happen. Like, no, there is no room for you to make your own fun here. This is something very specific we thought out and it's just gonna be what it is. Like, cutscenes are the most extreme point of that, and this game has a lot more pointed cutscenes which are less like connective tissue for levels and more like their own justifying experience. Like, it's meant to be an appeal of buying the game that you get to see these. And yeah, we have a lot of them, but they're still pretty solidly landed, and they're doing a good job with them. Again, credit to Joseph Staten and the whole team. Again, if we're kind of echoing Halo 1 here, if we just did the Pillar of Autumn there in Cairo Station, this is our landfall on Halo level where we, you know, the description is exactly like that. It's rally Marines, clear hostile contacts. Yeah, it's kind of like regathering guys from the drop pods in the first game, only instead of it being kind of like each drop pod is just a series of parts scattered in space and we can kind of let whatever happen that will from there. It's much more laid out. Like, specifically this scene is going to be like very much like scripted. You're a player within the script. You have agency, you have freedom, but you know, the scripting of the game scenarios is a lot tighter, if that makes sense. Might be how I would describe the flow of the game and philosophy of construction of this one compared to the first. And here is the future city, which is kind of weird, low detail. Yeah, it's just a few important details if you didn't hear that, like, yes, the Covenant are calling for help, like, and they said a small fleet arrived. The whole idea, of course, is that, like, the Covenant basically blundered into home base by mistake. They didn't mean to come to Earth. And yeah, we can actually take the fight to them because of that, and we're in a future city, and probably next video I'll call it here so I don't run myself ragged staying up at a stupid hour doing more of this. We'll call it here, but we can just talk briefly here about how aesthetically interesting this scene is, both as like general presentation of color and depiction of daytime on Earth, how it's very like, even though it's a clear day, we still have this kind of like drab, kind of like toned down color scheme and aesthetics. Like, you know, it's not like a hot, hazy day, even though it's like a yellow middle of the day without a lot of clouds on Earth. Like, no, it's very like downcast still visually, and you know, you might find that a bit of a downer or a failing, but I just think, again, that's how this game looks, and I find it quite pretty. It's a very distinct look, and one that I think they were able to land well. They worked well within their means and found a look in this weird reconfiguration of Halo CE's engine, and I really like it. I'll just point out a couple of things while we're here. Yes, that's a space elevator. Just a nice science fiction detail they don't feel the need to draw a lot of attention to. And if you think about the construction of these buildings, like, yes, repeating textures, low resolution, we're trying not to explode the original Xbox, but again, it's like the aesthetics of humanity in the first game, that we're kinda all business, not a lot of flash or ornamentation. It's kinda like how cities look in something like, you know, again, Nihei's works. Nihei, the guy who made Blam, he was a fucking massive fan of Halo, one of the few Japanese guys who owned an Xbox, and he loved Halo so much he, like, volunteered to draw a short manga comic thing for them. Was very happy to, and of course, aesthetic and thematic parallels run very deeply between the work of Nihei and Jason Jones. And yeah, this is kind of like how he draws a city, how he draws future aesthetics and architecture. And again, it's kind of a visual clue to the key ideas of this game, that we've seen the Covenant city with all its like weird colors and natural bulbous shapes, and here is, we're not in like an army base, this is a regular Earth city, and it's all like flat squares, and viewed from above it's this weird hive of just repeating like sandy stone gray concrete, you know, rectangles over and over again. Very practical construction, all hard shapes, visually consistent, no like weird elaborate decorations or ornamentations anywhere. And let's do a quick flip over while we're here, save us the trouble next video. And come on game, you can do it. Oof. Yeah, that whole like overcast thing I was admiring so much is very much gone now. Like, again, it's harsh lights blasting in, rendering everything kind of dusty. Building designs are a bit more complex, maybe a bit more natural, like that's what a commercial building would look like, but what does that say? The Transit Authority, like that's a city building, maybe that's more plausible, but again, I like the weird, like, Nihei boxes. The space elevator is a bit to the left for whatever reason. You know, it's kind of the... Oh, I see why. Like, the key visual, if you look out into the city, is meant to be the space elevator, you know, in Bungie's vision, but whoever was remastering this, I forget who, they wanted to show off their, like, OC contributions as the key to the city's skyline when you get out of the crashed Pelican. So now, like, again, I see what they're going for there. That's like a Ridley Scott Blade Runner thing, like a big angular building, and it's not totally wrong. Like, the buildings are still, like, fairly practical and business, but, you know, we went from, like, a genuine, like, Nihei hellscape of, like, barely detailed flat boxes to like kind of generic future buildings. Like, this is how like the city in the future looks in Alien Earth if you watch that show. And that's not an inherently like negative judgment. Like, I actually really enjoyed Alien Earth. A lot of people were pissing their pants over that show. I think they were just not being fair to it, frankly. But yeah, very... It's alright, but again, it's that word I love breaking out. You know what I think when I look at this Hannibal building? I think Art Station, unfortunately. Whereas, like, yeah, bring us back to, like, the really fucking, like, imposingly flat city. That's what I'm into. And again, like, the color tone of the scene, like, yeah, we're in, like, a desert or something now on a hot day, whereas, like, no, I like the weird, damp, permanently overcast feeling look, which I believe really defines Halo 2 for me and is the reason it can be remembered visually, because this is a really unique look which it appears like really thoughtfully applied across the whole game. It's very consistent, very strong look. This one is also consistent, but, you know, again, it's just kind of like, here's your video game in the year 2020, bro. Looks like every other one. Like, weird matte finish to things, kind of generic stylings all over. Just the fact they can do natural light is kind of a showy thing still. I haven't realized people are bored of that yet by the time they made this. The gun just looks like it has a bit too much of itself going on. This is just... It's like in the last game, I just feel like I can breathe easier when I switch from this to this. Like, this one is just trying to be more maximal in everything, whereas this one, you know, they can only do so many details, so probably, even though this game was like kind of rushed to hell, very frantic, people crying at their desks as they work on this thing, everything they ultimately did, like, you know, that with their very limited ration of processing power the Xbox could handle, the amount of RAM and so on, you know, every detail worked in, thoughtful part of the greater picture. This feels more like crass sci-fi maximalism. Do you feel what I feel? Do you just, like, feel tension release when I hit this button? Much better. Anyway, we'll play the game some more next, but I'll call this one here, and maybe I'll upload it tonight, maybe I'll upload it tomorrow. We'll see how long the rendering program behaves and so on, but yeah, we'll call this one here, and we're back at it, and I feel good about that, and I hope you do too. It's all for you people, so thanks for watching. I hope you like this. Any questions or comments, I'm more than happy to answer, so yeah, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks again.